Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hello again, it's Ed in San Diego, and you're on Global TV Talk Show. Our special guests today are Gregg Ward, who's also from San Diego, but on a mountaintop in La Mesa. And also on a mountaintop is Stephen Howard in Mexico City. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias, senor.
Yeah, Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
So, does it seem like everyone around us except us are getting COVID? I don't know, I just get chills thinking about it.
It does seem that way. I just got back from Europe. I went to visit my stepdaughter who lives in Madrid. And in order to do that trip, we went to Portugal first and then to Spain. We had to take 3 different COVID tests, upload them to each country's website, go through all sorts of official hoops in order to travel. It was a bear. And a lot of people were getting the Omicron version of COVID. So I think your perception is right. A lot of people are getting it.
Yeah, it's like a flu, I'm hearing. It's like
yes.
If you've been vaxxed.
If you've been vaxxed. If you haven't been vaxxed, I'm hearing it's pretty serious. Yeah.
Yeah, real. It just attacks and kills.
Yeah. But we've been fully vaxxed and boosted, and thank goodness we didn't get it. But if we did, we're told it will be like a flu.
Yeah. So, how was your vacation, Steve?
Steve, you go first.
Wow, mine. Wow, I had a lovely holiday in Mexico, a very lovely Christmas time, and then a few days away in some of the mountain retreats outside Mexico City. So I am back and ready for 2020 and COVID free.
Yeah, 22. Yeah.
Well, you're right. 2022. That makes better sense. I'm going backwards.
You don't want to go back to 2020.
Time flies. Right. Yeah. So, Gregg Ward, you were on our program a couple of months ago, and here you are again. I'm really thankful to have you back in. What caught my attention was your new series about trust and how it's been shattered. Disillusioned. What's a better way than I just said to think about it?
I think in a lot of cases, trust between government and the people has been lost due to a lot of factors that it would take us a PhD dissertation to really cover properly. But I think more importantly, trust has been lost interpersonally because people haven't been able to meet others' expectations in a way that they hoped. And perhaps those expectations were outsized. For example, getting together with mom and dad over the holidays, that was just always what people did. And the first year in 2020, when we couldn't do that, we were in the midst of the pandemic, we didn't have vaccines, and everybody was like, okay, we understand why we can't get together. We'll figure out a way to do that. But then 2021 came around. We had the vaccines. We had a lot more knowledge about this. And we tried to get together, or we decided we couldn't. And a lot of people took that very much to heart and felt in some ways like others didn't make the effort that they should. So that's in our personal lives. In our work lives, we're seeing that. I had a client who was fully prepared to bring everybody back into work starting in early January, starting now. And they're based in Florida. They're a manufacturing organization, very large. They're also in Alabama. And they were right up until just a few days before the new year, they were ready to go. Everybody's going to come back. They had a hybrid work situations all worked out. Who was going to wear masks, all the distancing, everything was all worked out. And then Omicron started taking out half of their workforce, even though they were fully vaccinated, required, mandated within the company. And boom. So I was on the phone with them just a couple of days ago, and they said, you know what? We're not going to execute on any of those plans. Now, I know a lot of the employees are tearing their hair out because they do want to go back to work. There's some recent research about how important it is for you and I to, yes, we connect over Zoom. Okay, that's great. But it's being in person. It's feeling the other person's energy.
Yeah.
We just get more done that way. And so people feel really let down.
Yeah, it's a world of difference. Is it like that in Mexico, Steve?
Not to the same extent here, although people are actually going back to work starting next week. Mexico, of course, like a lot of Latin America, shuts down right until Monday the 10th. Yesterday was the 6th, was the celebration of Reyes, which is the wise men arriving at the stable, the manger. And
so was that the Epiphany, or was that today?
I'm not that
I'm
religious
not
to advise on that, quite honestly. But yesterday was kind of a family day for families and a small gift exchange. Actually, this is one of the differences I've learned here is that whereas in America, at least in my family, we opened up our stockings on Christmas Day. The stockings are actually opened by the children yesterday on Reyes, and they have a special bread that was made. And in the bread is a little baby plastic Jesus figure. And if you get the Jesus figure in your piece of bread, you have to host a party on February the 2nd. And believe it or not, my second bite of my bread, I had the little Jesus figure. So my girlfriend's already told me I've got to take her out for dinner on February the 2nd.
There you go.
So
there you go.
I don't know whether I was set up or it just happened.
No, it was Groundhog Day.
Exactly. So, but no, it do go back. Mexico, the COVID increases in Mexico, unfortunately, are from Americans and Europeans who went to Cabo, Cancun, Puerto Vallarta during the holiday season. And so only in those areas of Mexico are the numbers really escalating. Everywhere else, it's just, it's going up, but not doubling. I mean, in the Cancun area, I think I read it actually doubled within a week, but it's because of the tourists.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So
but and that gets to kind of what Gregg's next book is about.
Trust.
What we want to talk about is trust. I mean, who do you trust? And then my question for Gregg that I'm itching to ask is there a linkage between incivility, which obviously is on an increase, particularly in the United States, and trust?
Yes.
So yes, okay, there's my answer.
Yes. Can I answer
Please
that?
Please elaborate.
One of the things we always talk about in our programs on respect is that respect and trust go hand in hand. And if you are expecting to be treated with civility by your colleagues and they don't, that is just one more emotional trigger, which causes you to at least wonder, why did they do that? Why did they do that? Is there something in me, or is it something in them, or is there something going on between us? And quite frankly, it just takes us out of our work. It's just one more thing that undermines our ability to work together. So if you, I call it gunny sacking. So let's say, Stephen, over time, you and I are working together and we're doing things. And I say something that kind of rubs you the wrong way. You might not say anything to me, but you'll put it in this invisible gunny sack that you carry around on your shoulder. If I do something else, you put it in the gunny sack. And then now you're predisposed to hear these things from me, and you keep throwing things in the gunny sack. Sooner or later, that gunny sack is going to get really heavy. And you're either going to come to me and you're going to dump it out in front of me and say, see all the things you did to me, or you're going to go to somebody else. Let's say you work in a big organization where there's an HR person. You're going to dump it on their desk and say, see what a bad person he or she is. So at the end of the day, if you treat somebody with incivility, it might not completely undermine the trust that they have in you, but it's just going to add that little bit more of distracting thought to their minds about what's going on between you. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. But what if you treat me with incivility today and then tomorrow you're really nice to me? Do I take it out of the gunny sack, or do I put something good in it, or what? Or does it not counterbalance?
Usually you don't. Usually you leave it in the gunny sack, and if it doesn't happen again, eventually over time it kind of withers away inside the gunny sack. It eventually dissolves through the fabric.
Okay.
If to extend the metaphor.
Okay.
But you will also, if I do it a couple of times, or you do it a couple of times, I'm gonna be starting to be more on the lookout. So confirmation bias starts to come into play. You might be doing something that is, in your mind, completely respectful and civil, but I start to see it through colored lenses and see it differently. So it's why we really want organizations to have what we're now calling an ARC, to be an ARC organization, an active, respectful culture. It's not enough to just think I'm being respectful. You need to do it. You need to speak it out loud. You need to practice it. You need to be actively respectful. And we believe, and our research tells us, that if you are actively respectful, the more likely you're going to have a very strong and trusting relationship.
So how much does that, how frequent is this, how evident is that, what you just said, going on in companies?
Well, I can tell you this, that there is a lot of disrespect in our organizations now than there has been since, what we're finding, since the height of the Vietnam War. There is more upset and disagreement and uncivil behavior between people and in the public sphere now than there has been since then. And one would argue that now, because of social media, it's that much easier to be uncivil. So the research says that, generally speaking, keyboard warriors feel more empowered to be keyboard warriors than they would be in person, because they know if they say something in person, it's going to generate a lot of hostility and problems for them. But it's really easy to fire off something on a keyboard and have no repercussions. So there's a lot of it going on. The question you asked, though, is how much are organizations being ARC organization, active, respectful cultures? I could say not a lot. Because business is so frantic and hectic, and there's so many challenges going on, that too many leaders shunt respect and civility to one side. We don't have time for that. Or this is just business, get over it, grow a thicker skin. It's kind of putting the onus on people who are the targets of the disrespect to just deal with it, rather than managing ourselves. And that's what we're trying to get organizations to understand. As leaders, you are responsible for setting the tone. And if you do that, then you'll see good results. One of the companies that I love to talk about is Costco. I bet you both of you are Costco members, and I compare it to their biggest competitor, who you know to be Sam's Club. And the two cultures couldn't be much more different than each other. They both basically carry the same kinds of products and offer the same kind of services, but the customer loyalty, the net promoter score at Costco is so much higher than Sam's Club. And the turnover at Costco is so much lower than Sam's Club. I mean, Sam's Club's at the retailing average, which is about 44%. So, and Costco's down in the, less than 5% turnover. It's just enormous. And that's because they do pay them a bit better. The benefits are better. But overall, it's a respectful culture. They treat their customers with respect. They treat each other with respect. They create a kind of atmosphere where people want to come to work in a warehouse underneath these fluorescent lights and these giant fans with racks of goods. I mean, really, when you think about it, who the hell wants to go to work in that kind of a place unless you feel really respected and valued?
Right, and get well paid.
Well paid, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
have you, sorry, Ed, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Have you done any research or have seen any research linking this lack of trust and lack of respect to the Great Resignation as a factor into the Great Resignation?
It really is. And I like to call it the Great Reconsideration. I think that people are quitting their jobs, and we just got the jobs report this week that it's at an all-time high. And I think a lot of people, especially in hospitality, in healthcare, in frontline kinds of industries where you're dealing with the public a lot, people are just fed up with being treated like crap, and either by the public or by their bosses,
or
and
the customers.
And the customers, and they're thinking, is this what I want to go back to? Do I really want to go back to a job where I wasn't paid very well, especially like the restaurant industry? That's how I put myself through college. I worked in 7 different restaurants. I made a lot of money, but I was never treated with respect. I wouldn't know my schedule until a few days before. And I would frequently get asked, can you pull a double shift? So-and-so can't come today. So there's no stability in that industry. You are frequently being abused by the customers, and your managers don't give a rat's backside about it. And so, here it is, the pandemic, you put yourself at risk from customers who have an attitude of, I don't need to wear a mask. And who wouldn't say, I don't want to go back to that. My son, for example, he had his own business going. He was doing home repairs and landscaping. He gave it up. It was just too much abuse, too much struggle. He went back and he's getting his master's degree, and he wants to do something else that really makes a difference in the world. And a lot of people are thinking about this. Do I really want to go to a dead-end job that I hate anyway? Or do I want to do something different with my life? We reconsidered our lives under COVID. And I think that's a lot of what, and a lot of people felt disrespected before COVID hit. And so COVID was a good reason to leave.
Yeah. So do you think that the predominance of that attitude is female?
That's a great question, Ed. Our research seems to indicate that women are more aware of incivility and disrespect than men in general. And whenever I put that out there, the women in the group go, well, duh, it's because we've been discriminated against and disrespected ever since women started coming into the workforce during the Industrial Revolution. And women are consistently underpaid than men for doing the exact same job. So yeah, we're damn well sensitive to being treated with respect and civility. And more women have definitely left the workforce than men. And I think generally men are not encouraged to develop their emotional intelligence. We can get into all of that. But yes, I think the answer is more and more women are very, very aware of how they've been disrespected over the years in their careers. And they're saying, screw it, I'll create my own company. Last year, we had more companies created in 2021 than ever before in history. And the vast majority of those were created by women.
So this thing about emotional intelligence, being aware, that is rule number 1 for any marketing, customer-facing position.
You would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's rule number 2 for me, for any leader, but only because the first rule is to understand yourself.
Yes.
So that's the only reason I put it as number 2.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the problems we have, and where can we fix it? I mean, our leaders, our the organizations that have traditionally taught respect as a value aren't doing that as much. I mean, I will cite the San Antonio church, where the congregation in November, I believe it was chanting together, "Let's go, Brandon," which is a vulgar epitaph for the President of the United States, in church, in a congregation. How can those members, I mean, how can those members of that congregation have respect for anybody if that's how they're doing on a Sunday service?
I have and speaking personally, I've since I was a young boy, I've had a very difficult relationship with organized religion for exactly that reason. There's so much of, we're the in group, we know best, and you're not part of us unless you swear to be the way we are. And I have a real problem with that. And I just believe that there are tenets in every faith culture that says treat your neighbor as you want to be treated yourself. And if you look a bit deeper, there's also the platinum rule: treat your neighbor as your neighbor wishes to be treated. And those tenets are there, but we've lost sight of them. Religion has become politicized, but then again, when wasn't religion politicized?
Exactly.
And so that has always troubled me, even since I was a little boy. But I grew up a Unitarian Universalist, so we were taught as children, question everything, question authority, question organized religion, question everything. Don't take it on faith. So I don't take anything on faith anymore. My wife says I'm the ultimate cynic, but maybe, I don't know, it's a self-protection thing.
So I grew up in Boston, and that's where that began.
That's right, in the U.S. Yes,
a long time ago, like revolutionary.
Yeah,
days.
Ralph Waldo Emerson was a Benjamin Franklin, Henry David Thoreau, you name it. All the founders of the United States, many of them were Unitarians, and then the Universalism and Unitarianism merged in the 18-somethings, and they became the Unitarian Universalists. But it's often known as the thinking man or thinking woman's religion. It's very much about a unitary belief in human beings and searching for greater good. A lot of them are atheists, a lot of them are not, but it's very inclusive and welcoming, and we do our best not to judge. And that's the one place where I feel welcomed as the kind of person I am.
That is great. I happen to believe in all that too.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of people who I knew who were of my background shifted over to that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We often joke in the Unitarian church, raise your hand if you were born and raised in the church. I'm one of the few. I was born and raised in the church. Everybody else was lapsed Catholic, lapsed Jew, Hindu, you name it. They came from other faith cultures looking for something that worked better for them.
Yeah.
I would say enhanced Catholic, enhanced Jew, enhanced Methodist, not lapsed. But
I like that.
Greg, I got to get us back to business. How can you convey to leaders, and how can you convince, particularly the leaders who are in their 40s and 50s, have been doing it their way for 20, 30 years, that trust, respect, civility is not a weakness of leadership?
Right. That is the fundamental question and challenge that we have here at the center. And I wish there was a one size answer that fits all. Generally speaking, I have found that when I'm coaching one-on-one with a leader and I talk with them tell me about the respectful and trusting relationships that you have in your life and in your work. How do you feel about them? And they always light up, and they always wax poetic about how great it is to have this kind of relationship. And then I take it to, well, imagine that you're a new person coming to work for you. Don't you want that new person to have that same kind of feeling about you? And they say, yes, of course. And I said, well, then why are you treating them differently? Why are you using the old methodology of making them prove themselves to you, making them earn your trust and respect first? Why aren't you giving them the benefit of the doubt? Why are you making them pay their dues and suffer the way you did in order to achieve that kind of relationship that you now have? Why go through that? And they often scratch their heads and, well, I don't know. That's just the way we've always done it. And I go, aha, there's your issue right there. You're doing things the same way that you were taught, and the world doesn't work that way anymore. So I have to give them all the data about how the workplace has changed, how we now have more millennials and Gen Z in our workplace than ever before, and they don't tolerate disrespect the way we did when we were coming up, because we were brought up in what's called a culture of scarcity. We were told you got to get that good job, and that good job is really hard to find. Well, my son and my stepdaughters are like, Hey, if my company treats me like crap, I'll go find somebody else to work for. And they're not going to tolerate being disrespected the way you and I did when we were first starting out. Everything has changed, and we got to get our leaders to understand. Sometimes I want to hit them with a velvet covered 2x4 right up the side of the head. Dude, wake up. Boom. The world has changed, and you need to change too.
So as the companies are trying to figure out how to be human resources managers,
Yeah.
leaders, as
Yeah.
Stevenson said, how are they going to communicate that?
Well, I think they have got, the HR folks have got to work on building relationships with the senior leadership in a way that the leadership trusts them.
So that's first.
That's first. That's
Right.
got to come first. And unfortunately, leadership tends to think, okay, HR, you've got to earn my respect and trust. So one of the ways you do that in HR, an HR leader can be what we call a ROCC, ROCC, reliable, open and honest, competent, and perhaps most importantly, concerned for the leadership's best interests. You do those things consistently as an HR person, your leadership will come to trust you. ROCC, reliability, openness and honesty, competent, and concerned for their best interests. You do those things, you'll get there.
Stephen, that's a new leader?
Yeah, I think that's a new HR leader. I mean, I won't go into what I think leaders should do with the HR department, but I think, yeah, the HR department has to focus two ways. They've got to focus on earning that trust of the leadership, and doing, supporting them, but also at the same time, they've got to earn the trust of the employees. I think it's another place where trust has been lost. I think other than using Gregg's earlier analogy, bringing the gunny sack to the HR department, people don't want to go to the HR department.
Right.
They don't want to talk to HR. They don't want to, we've talked before in other shows, people don't want to go and use their benefits, particularly when it has to do with mental wellness benefits,
Yep.
because they're afraid that if HR knows that I've got depression or I've got anxiety, I've got something like this, boy, my career is going to go down the toilet, or I'm just going to be put here at this
Right.
level. I'll never get promoted again.
Right.
So HR in general, and I hate to
Is not
stereotype,
trusted.
is not trusted though.
Yep.
And I see research and time again that supports that.
Yeah.
We are pleased to welcome Adamo Education as a proud sponsor of Global TV Talk Show.
The concept of a micro school is the reimagining of the one-room schoolhouse. My name is Tamara Becker. I'm the president and CEO of Adamo Education. The micro school concept really does not just lend itself to the personalization and the customization of learning, but also the social development and fostering that sense of love for learning. Unlike what we see in traditional brick and mortar schools, we have multiple grade levels in the same learning space. Students can be enriched by the socialization that they get, as well as the academic support from peers. What differentiates Adamo is the fact that we are taking the best pieces of brick and mortar, of digital, and then at-home learning. Students here can come 5 days a week. They can come 4 hours a day. It will really just depend on what is best for the student and for the parent. To enroll, just reach out via phone, text, or email, and we'll have that personalized conversation, and we'll be able to get you all set. Check us out at adamoeducation.org.
Hi, this is Ed, and I thank you for tuning in to Global TV Talk Show, a unit on globalbusinessnews.net. We broadcast to the world, as you know by now. So I wanted to make sure that you understand that our programs are advertising supported. We're grateful for co-sponsors, advertisers. They have a marketing budget, coupled with a strong desire to be associated with our top quality program. And of course, I'm grateful. Thank you. So For the next few minutes, you're going to see some commercials. It's mostly very low key, and our prices are very, very reasonable. Our exposure for the advertisers go 12 months and beyond. Some of our advertisers have been with us since March, April of 2020. And Google Analytics has tracked over 125,000 what they call audience page views, which means you looking at this page, that's a page view. Now, if you happen to go to one of our other shows or to our radio broadcasts or to our newspaper or magazine, those become additional page views as measured by Google Analytics. And so when they say 125,000 since spring of 2020 up through Labor Day, a month ago, that's pretty good numbers. And the past 30 days, Google Analytics has measured just under 6,000 audience page views. And that, according to them, is a 42% increase in audience participation over the month of August. So thank you very much. Well, here's our advertisers, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes or so, and we'll proceed with this interesting conversation. Thank you.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Hi, I'm Sergey Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we're researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
So what do you think? Will HR become, in some advanced organizations, sort of like a telehealth? Just phone it in rather than go to a person? It'll be some companies somewhere out there, and it's all either on
Outsourced.
chat
outsourced.
or phone in counseling.
I doubt it. I don't know, Greg, go ahead. I don't
doubt know. I think HR, unfortunately, often it just is there for compliance.
Exactly.
And people see them as the police, the compliance police, and which is really sad because a great HR person can make or break your company, quite frankly. Yep. And this is such a hard one. And I think HR folks tend to want to own their space and say to others, you're not the experts, we are. And so that's very daunting to others who aren't familiar with what HR does and all the I mean, HR's got to be everything to everyone. And that's really hard to also be open and to encourage people to trust us. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because I know how hard it is.
Well, I'll give you advance. I've got a book coming out a little earlier than yours, hopefully in February, and I'm gonna advocate, and it's gonna be quite controversial. I'm advocating that leaders should fire their entire HR departments.
Yeah. Okay.
And in all seriousness,
and outsource them.
No, hire them back 30 minutes later as their human competency.
Okay.
Human capability department, and then separate the operations functions, as you say, the compliance. Put that in operations. The VP of operations should be handling all that operational stuff.
I like this.
HR capabilities department, as I call it, should be focusing on how to develop talent, recruit talent,
engage talent,
and that should be, and forget the mindset that humans are a resource of a company. No,
send me your book. I'll be the first to write a review, a positive review, 5 stars. Bingo.
I will. Thank you. So that's only one part of it, but that's where I'm going to advocate here.
I love it.
So, Stephen, with that in mind, it's a marketing approach for HR.
An internal marketing approach, if you want, but definitely, if you want to think of it that way, and take all the, as I said, the compliance things, take the annual review processing aspect out of that area, and you put it in operations, because that's really what all that is. And the HR, and then they can become experts in how to develop people, how to grow people, how to recruit people, how to build. You know what? In a large organization, the department heads go get trained on how to build team building, work and all that kind of stuff for their team. If you're the head of marketing, if you're the head of finance, you can't be an expert in team building. Why shouldn't the HR, the human capabilities department, the human competency department, human capabilities area, they should be the one to lead team building across the organization. They should become experts in team building. They should become experts in motivation. They should become experts in employee engagement.
Just like operations are experts in operations.
Yeah. And that's what, the VP of marketing, unfortunately, can never become an expert in employee engagement because that person's brain is so focused on their customers externally. And now you're making internally, how do I get my employees engaged? Well, is that really your role? Or should that be, in my view, and my vision, I should say, the experts in the human capabilities department?
I love this.
So with that in mind, should we end this now? I'll keep going.
We're done. We're done here.
I got to go write.
Our work is done.
Okay. All right. I got to go think.
I got to go write and edit. And then and a lot of it will be, then that's where the trust will come in, and that's where the respect will come in. And so, a lot of what I'm writing about is in line with what Gregg's already written about and what he's going to write about in the future.
Gregg, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stephen.
I just say before we go though, because you mentioned the center before earlier, what is the center? Tell our audience. What is the center?
Thank you for asking. The Center for
how to find you.
Terrific. The Center for Respectful Leadership is an educational primarily organization, but we also provide consulting and coaching on respect and what we call respectful leadership. And we are very much about doing research and bringing out the latest concepts and ideas around respect and how important it is to leaders in every kind of organization. And anybody who wants to get in touch with us, just go to respectfulleadership.org and they can find us, or just type into Google respectful leadership and we'll pop up.
Thanks, Gregg Ward. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you for having me.
Can't wait to read that chapter.
Yeah, I love it. Me too.
Yeah. Send it to you in advance.
All right.
Okay, let's sign off.
All right, gentlemen.
Weekend.
Thank you, Gregg. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.